A person certainly who is no stranger to the spotlight in a long and illustrious career in the sport of harness racing.
That's right, Gary. Stanley Dancer's accomplishments are well documented and hardly paralleled in a career that has spanned over 30 years. And he's back at it again this year, sending out the sport's top-rated 2-year-old trotter.
Indeed he is. A colt by the name of Donerail. He's had a sensational freshman season in 1994, and he's vacationing now, if you will, at Dancer's stable right here at South Florida's Pompano Harness Track, the place where he will prepare for his much-anticipated 3-year-old campaign.
That's right, Gary, and that's where we caught up with this Hall of Famer and this trotting machine on a beautiful South Florida day. The U.S. Trotting Association has sent out ballots for divisional honors and Horse of the Year honors for 1994. Favored to win the 2-year-old trotting colt of the year is Donerail, who is trained by the legendary Hall of Famer Stanley Dancer. What is it about Donerail that made you purchase the colt for $82,000 for your owner Robert Suslow at the Kentucky Standardbred sale in the fall of '93?
Well, first of all, you have to liken the pedigree, which he has a pedigree that I like. But after you look at that, you look at the horse. And many of them I would like somebody else win, or vice versa, and I really was very impressed with him. Had great conformation, a nice head, wide between the eyes, wide under the throat, and stood right, good feet, and all the things that I would like, but that doesn't mean he would turn out great, as I bought bad ones too. But unfortunately for me, he turned out to be great, and everything I thought about was wonderful.
At what point did you know that Donerail had the potential to become a world champion trotter?
Well, this you can dream about and think, but they've got to prove it before they really do. He trained great here all year long last year, and when we left here, I worked him and Lifelong Victory together in 2-2, and that's a very incredible mile. And when I told John Campbell when he drove me, the colt acted like a good top colt, but until he proved it. But I think after he raced his second time, even his first one, he was impressed. But the second time, he was very impressed and kept that way all year. And we gave him 6 weeks off in between the Peter Houghton and his next race. And he even came to qualifying at Garden State. And for John to do that, I thought they really had a soft spot for the horse and made me feel great. But he's always done everything right.
Donerail capped off a tremendous freshman campaign and made Sire Valley Victory proud by winning the $384,500 Valley Victory Final at Garden State Park on November 11th.
Donerail doing himself proud. The champ may be back, hitting the 8th pole and 5 in front. One last-ditch effort on the outside from King Pine, who's not out of it by a long shot. And Campbell now once more from Donerail, leads it at 3. King Pine trying for last-second heroics, but Donerail's going to have enough left. And the son of Valley Victory wins the Valley Victory. Donerail scores at a length and a half. King Pine second, 3-way photo for third.
For 4 decades, you have had top trotters in your barn, such as Sumac Ladd, Neville Pride, Super Bowl, and Duena, to name a few from a long list. Have your training techniques changed with the times?
Now, really, I could add one more in there that stood in this same stall, won the Hamiltonian in 1975 called Bonefish. So I did win 4 Hamiltonians as trainer-driver and won 5 as a trainer with Egyptian Candor. Won it in 65 when I had a great horse called Noble Victory. But to say about training methods, not really. I think now we have to train them a little different between races than we might have back in those days, because we were going 2 heats, sometimes 3 heats. That makes a difference. But to me, it's like building a house. You don't build an expensive house on a poor foundation. And with colts, you've got to get a foundation on them before you get them ready to go a good mile or learn them to get speed. It's all a learning process, like a baby. It's got to crawl before it walks, and walks before it runs, and it's the same way with training the horse. But some people have different techniques, and they do well and do great, and I wouldn't blame them for not changing, because I won't change my ways either.
The techniques of training trotters have changed since the Swedes began training in the United States. Do you find the techniques that they use, Per Eriksson, Team Nordin, Continental Stables, for example, are they equal to or better than the old way to develop trotters? And have you adopted any ways, or are you sticking with what's been good for you lately?
No, I'll stick what's been good with me, even though they're all great horsemen, but I haven't none of them won a Triple Crown yet. And I have won 3 of them, and I think I'll stick with mine. So far, they've worked out very well, and they say they've won Hamiltonians, and there's all ways of doing it. And I think we all should do what we think is right, and they do what they think's right, and they're great horsemen. but I will continue to do it my way.
Did you train Donerail the same way as you trained Dancer's Crown and Super Bowl?
Pretty much the same. I kept records on all my training from the day I started, and I would pick out different ones and have in a book, which I have this year. Of course, I added Donerail to mine this year, but I go back to Super Bowl and Neville Pride and see how fast I was going with them at different times of the year, and maybe how fast I trained them between races when they went 2 heats or 1 heat, which most days they went 2, except Dancer's Crown didn't. But I pretty much stuck to the same thing.
Jody, you had a big role with Donerail's development as a 2-year-old. Can you explain your relationship with the colt?
I had the fortune to be a hot walker for the horse last year, as we had 4 trotters and 3 grooms. I had my choice of the colts, and he was the nicest and easiest to handle, and I got to walk him all last winter. So I'm proud now when I got the opportunity to go to the winner's circle and say I had a part of it. He's a great little colt. I love him.
Do you feel Donerail has a chance of becoming the first Triple Crown winner since Super Bowl in 1972?
Well, I think he has a great chance. I'm hoping for it, and all we can do is pray that we have good luck. Horse stays sound, healthy, and we all do, and I think he's got the class to do it. He's proven he can go over a half-mile track, which is always a question today, because when Pride was racing, there was very few mile tracks and very few 5/8, so his most racing was on a half-mile track. Today, we have very few, so a horse has to prove it he can, and he's done that, and that's a big relief for me anyway.
You were so instrumental in the development of some of today's top horses like Valley Victory and Peace Corps. Can you explain your connection to these horses and the chain you've created?
Well, with Peace Corps, I bought her Grand Dam at Lexington, called Worth Being, or Worth Sea, I'm sorry, in 1960. And when we retired Noble Victory in 1965, we bred her to Noble Victory, which I had Noble Victory, I bought as a yearling too. And she had a mare which was named Aunt Hilda. The people that owned the filly, his name was Hilda Silverstein. And although she didn't race, she trained here. She was a Grand Gaited filly. And we bred her to Super Bowl as a 3-year-old coming 4. And she got a filly called Worth Being. And Worth Being was not a good top 2-year-old by any means. She only raced a few times. But as a 3-year-old, she did win a lot of the stakes. She beat the sister to Speedy Somali and some top fillies at the coaching club at Meadowlands. And I bred her to Baltic Speed and sold her in fall carrying Peace Corps. So it went back a long ways. The only sad part about it, each one of them had like 2 foals and died. And the dam of Peace Corps, she had one other than Peace Corps, and she died too. So it's been a short-lived producing family. Valley Victory's dam, all I did was to drive her a few times to my brother Vernon. I have a picture in there, my office, where I won with her, and she was a nice mare, but nothing great, that's for sure.
It's obvious that Stanley Dancer's training methods are as good today as they were 20 years ago. Donerail is just one of many horses in Dancer's barn that shows you should stick with what works.
Well, obviously, Hall of Famer Stanley Dancer has done it once again, and this time with a soon-to-be 3-year-old trotter, Donerail. And you know, Jennifer, Stanley Dancer has indeed cut back on the size of his stable over the last couple of years, but apparently that has not affected his ability to turn out champions.
He has cut back, Gary, but don't be surprised if you see more talented youngsters come out of this Hall of Famer stable.
It'd be no surprise to me. All right, Jennifer, great story on Stanley Dancer. Now it's time for you